press the button, subscribe.
Fight fans, and welcome. And today's special guest here with me today is Josh Padley. Josh, how you doing?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. It's great to finally get you on. We were supposed to do this a couple of months back, but it's finally great to get you on.
Yeah. No worries.
So, first of all, Josh, nice, simple question for you. Are you missing being an electrician?
No, mate. No. I'm quite enjoying, like I say, the full-time boxing. Obviously, what I got into boxing for as a pro 6 or 7 years ago, whatever it was. Obviously, the dream was always to become a full-time boxer, and now that dream's actually a reality. So it's all panned out in the end, and I'm enjoying my new job.
Fantastic. Well, we'll go back to the 21st of September last year. You was against Mark Chamberlain at Wembley Stadium on the undercard of Joshua versus Dubois. There's no doubt about it, you was a massive underdog in that fight. You got the victory, a brilliant one. You won a unanimous decision. That was definitely the start of the life change for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was sort of my breakthrough, my first TV fight, first big opportunity against like a top prospect. I was the one that didn't have the TV deal of coming against someone that just I needed that exposure at that point in my career, and what a like I say, the first Riyadh season card, what a platform to get that exposure on. So glad we got the job and got the nod on that one.
Yeah. And if it come about, if you wanted it, would you take the Mark Chamberlain rematch?
I won't be against it, but obviously I think he's moved up to super. I think he's staying at 140 now. I mean, the fight was at 140, but I'm not big enough to be a 40 pounder. But never say never. If it made good financial sense, then and if he fancied his chances again, then potentially we could talk about it.
Well, you never know in boxing, anything is possible. I mean, it was a very good fight. It was the opening bout at Wembley Stadium for that card. As the fight was happening, there was a few starting to get through the door at Wembley Stadium. This is a question I've been wanting to ask someone who's been in the position like yourself. Is it frustrating as a fighter to be on an undercard of that show where particularly is it frustrating to not have many fans in a big stadium like that?
Not really. My fans that come up from Doncaster and stuff, they knew that we were going to be on first because I was obviously texting them, and they were only fans, particularly in there, that I was bothered about them being able to see. Obviously, whoever else saw me were just a bonus. But they were the ones that obviously I've got the relationship and paid all their hard-earned money and stuff. So, and I knew that everything were going to be on TV and stuff, and there'd have been thousands more people watching at home around the TV. I mean, when I was doing my ring walk, I don't think there was one single person in the stadium. I don't think they even let people in. My mates were stood in the queue outside and at the bars and stuff, not allowed to go in yet. And I could hear my name being called out, and the bouncers were like, "We're not allowed to let you in yet." But I just sort of said into my head as I was coming, I thought, they're writing you off again. This is what they've done all week, and this is what everybody kept doing. So I need to go and prove them wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, and you certainly did. I actually was at that fight card, but I actually missed your fight because my coach was delayed, so I couldn't get in the stadium for that one. I was aiming to, but I couldn't. So you're actually an electrician by trade.
Yeah.
Did you go back on the tools after that fight, or so many weeks after?
Yeah, 2 weeks after Chamberlain, we went back on the tools because it was quite a long, dragged out process after Chamberlain. There were people showing initial interest, saying that they potentially could sign us and we might be able to set something up, and it sort of went on and on and on, and nothing came off the back of it. Like I say, we thought that had have been enough. To be honest with you, I thought that I would have potentially got another opportunity to prove myself, after the Chamberlain one, because it could have been a fluke or whatever. But like I say, nothing that were worth, because we got good world rankings and stuff from the Chamberlain fight, because obviously we're quite high up. So the offers that we did have were not worth risking them high world rankings, because we knew that the position we were in, something big could potentially come.
Yeah. Well, fight week arrives for the big Riyadh season card in Saudi Arabia, the last crescendo. Floyd Schofield pulls out against Shakur Stevenson, and the WBC World Lightweight title is on the line, but it's now off. They need a replacement quick. The call up comes for Josh Padley. Was you actually at work when you got the call?
No, I wasn't at work. I'd done a day's work that day. It was about 6 o'clock at night when we actually got the call from Matchroom saying we need a replacement. What can you do this, and this, and can you be in Saudi Arabia for Saturday and all this sort of stuff? So it was a bit of a crazy one to begin with, but obviously the fight card were being deemed as the greatest fight card ever and all that sort of stuff. But I wasn't really paying too much attention to the Shakur Schofield fight. You know, it was just one of them things that I thought, yeah, it's on the undercard, it's a mega undercard sort of thing. Somebody like me is never going to get an opportunity. I was just looking forward to obviously the Bivol Beterbiev fight, and then like I say, Tom Stalker, my manager, rang me that Tuesday night at 6 o'clock saying, "You're not going to believe the phone call I've just had, lad. What's your weight?" And it just developed from there.
If ever there was a testament as well of stay ready, I mean, it's a good job you was ready, wasn't it? I mean, that was an absolutely huge life change for your boxing career and financially too. So you arrive in Saudi Arabia. I think it was a couple of days to fight night against one of the most highly rated boxers in the world. Was your attitude in that fight, well, the build up to the fight, when you got the call and you arrived, just sod it, let's just go for it, I've got nothing to lose?
There were nothing. There were that attitude, but there were also the attitude of if I pull this off, it's gonna go down like history almost. You
Oh
know?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't mean that you didn't have that
yeah.
attitude, but you know what I mean. Yeah,
But
yeah.
as in, like, yeah, the attitude of I've got nothing to lose. Everybody's already wrote me off, sort of thing. That attitude was there, but then in the back of my mind, obviously, like I said to my manager again when we were talking in and ahhing about the fight, I says, if we go and pull this off, it's going to go down as like one of the biggest upsets ever and all this sort of stuff against someone like Shakur. So I had to go in there with that frame of mind, but it were like a win-win situation because it were like, if I do win, it's going to go down mega, and if I don't win, everybody expected me not to win anyway. So it's like I couldn't really lose from that situation in there.
Yeah, definitely. So the fight happens. You lost. It was your first defeat in your career. The towel come in rightfully so at the in round 9. It was a real valiant effort again from you. You won a lot of fans over, and your social media following absolutely went through the roof, didn't it?
Mad, yeah. Like I say, I was devastated about the first loss as a pro. Bit of pill to swallow, sort of thing. Getting stopped as well, and it were like the body shots that were hitting me, even though they were super accurate. I feel like if I'd have had a little bit more conditioning, I might have been able to, you know, what I mean, I'd survived the 9th round. It were like the 10th round. I know I'd have been able to survive a couple more rounds, sort of thing. Given if I'd have had a little bit more conditioning, but yeah, since that, like you say, a lot of fans have even got like American fans now that it touch base quite a lot and they're following my career, which is super,
Fantastic.
you know what I mean, unreal for me who's come up on the small hall shows to then having people from like Texas and stuff messaging me on Instagram saying they're supporting me. It's crazy.
Fantastic. So Shakur Stevenson, did you obviously you shared the ring with him? Um, was he better than you thought, or anything like that? Do you have any reflections on the fight, or
Yeah, he were better than what I thought.
okay?
The timing and the precision and stuff of his shots were. I've sparred some pretty decent high level guys. Like I say, if it's not hard to find them the pictures who I've sparred on my social media and stuff. But like I say, I've always been in camp when I've sparred them, but it just seemed a little bit different that elite level, that top elite level. Like I say, when you talk a pound for pounds, people didn't mention Shakur's name when you bring a pound for pound list up, and I feel like I felt that in there a little bit. The power weren't devastating, but everybody knows that. But it's just what he does and how well he does it, and timing, precision, accuracy, and like you say, his footwork and stuff. And when you think you're in range, you're not in range. It was the best. Like I say, he's the best guy I've been in there with.
Yeah. Well, you also won Eddie Earn over as well, because a week later you signed a multi-fight deal with Matchroom. How did that feel to be able to dedicate your career to go to boxing full time from the day job you had as an electrician?
Yeah, well, before we went out, and actually, when the negotiations started on the Tuesday night, we didn't get finished negotiating until about 10:30 at night. And part of the negotiation was if we do lose, we want a comeback fight under matchroom because we knew that we had these high world rankings, and we were sort of selling ourselves short at 4 days' notice, which we know, like I say. But they said, yeah, that's not a problem. We'll give you you get your fight purse or whatever, and then you'll get a comeback fight under a matchroom banner, which is perfect because then at least I can build back from that. Um, so obviously the Sunday that we got home that morning from Saudi, I rang my gaffer and I says, I've got a one fight deal. I'm gonna pack my job in. I says, I'm gonna give it all this one fight. I says, because obviously if I win this next one, then some mine's snowball. I said, yeah, Josh, no problem. And then that were probably about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Eddie got my WhatsApp, sent me a voice note saying, Josh, I know we've got a one fight deal, but would you like a 3 fight deal under the match room? And I think we can do something good here. So obviously that, like I say, packing my job in that morning and then getting a 3 fight deal or music to my ears as such. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's what dreams are made of, isn't it, for
exactly
you?
that, mate. Yeah, exactly that. Like I say, in 6 years, like I said at the beginning, 6 years ago when I got into boxing, I wanted to be a full-time athlete, and now I am under Eddie Hearn, which is obviously, like I say, is the man of
Yeah.
him, and obviously Queensbury. They're the men meant to be, aren't they, in the UK?
Well, I'm not just saying this talking from a fan's point of view, but I've seen lots of, obviously, I'm on X on social media and I see a lot of things. I think what a lot of people appreciate with you is the way, obviously, your life has dramatically changed, but the way you've kept so level headed about it, the way you go about things, you haven't suddenly changed, the way, like, some people get egos and things like that. And I think that's what a lot of people, like, really respect about you as well with your following you have. Um, so your first fight of your deal was a fifth round TKO win on the undercard of Dalton Smith in Sheffield in April. Did it feel different fighting in that environment to the last two fights you've had, or did it sort of like feel like going back to your home ground type of thing?
It felt like the fight week and that they're not as quite as intense as obviously the Riyadh season ones. You have your grand rivals, you have this, you have that, you have your weigh-in in the morning, then you have your ceremonial weigh-in and stuff. So it almost felt easy. The fight week it was less, but then I also had that sense of pressure over my head that I'm expected to beat this guy now. My last two times I weren't expected to beat him, but I knew that I were able to do everything right in camp. Obviously, being full time and that. So that if I'm as good as what I'm saying I'm being, then I should be able to do the job. And I sort of that the result that we got were exactly what I'd said that I needed to do.
Yeah. Well, your career now is 17 fights, 16 wins. You got 5 stoppage wins, 1 loss. So what's next for Josh Padley? What's in the pipeline for you?
There's been umming and ahhing whether we move down to super featherweight or stay at lightweight. Obviously, making lightweight limit on 4 days' notice proves that I'm not the biggest of lightweights in the world. And then obviously, when you see the fights against Shakur and Mark and a lot of my opponents, I'm always seems to be the smaller guy. Um, Now I am full time and I'm able to fully concentrate on boxing, and everything evolves around boxing. I've got my nutritionist, strength and conditioners, everything that there is the potential to move down to super feather and have that size advantage on our side as well as obviously my skill set. So we're still umming and ahhing what to do with that. We're thinking about we're leaning towards going down to super feather, um, hoping to have some fight news the next week or two. Um, Fingers crossed, all being well, either at a catch weight, see what I'm like, or down at super featherweight.
Great stuff. So, is there any particular names, if you did move weight, is there any particular names that you like the look of having that fight with, or anything like that?
Um, I'm just about chasing titles. So whoever's got what titles I need to get. I mean, the there's the card. Is it the Queensbury card that's got Bellotti and
Yeah, the Bournemouth one.
yeah. So they've got. I think there's two super featherweight fights on that, isn't
You've got
there?
Bellotti versus Ryan Garner announced, and the other one is
Like,
uh Royston
Daniels. Yeah,
Barney
around.
Smith. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's four top super featherweights there, all fighting, all got decent belts and stuff like that. So it's just a question of how I perform down at that weight and see, because I've not obviously made that weight in quite some years. So be interesting to see what I do next fight, and then who knows, maybe one of them names.
Exciting times ahead for you then. Hopefully get some fight news within the next week. So we're talking about your weight and what fighters you're looking at in the future. How far do you believe you can go in the sport with the dedication to the actual being a professional boxer now? No other distractions, just having that.
Well, like I say, I think the Chamberlain fight should have been for the WBC silver lightweight title, and obviously we did that one relatively easy. You know what I mean? So I think, and that was 8 weeks off work against a top guy that nobody wanted to fight at the time. So I rate myself to get back up to that top level, and obviously I've had a taste at what it feels like to be involved in sort of your world title fights and your massive events, and who wouldn't want to be at the top of the sport, pinnacle of the sport, involved in big events like that? That's what you get into boxing for, isn't it? So
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd love to get back to that stage, and I think I'm on the right path. And I'm excited to, like I say, if we do go down to super feather, get back on that big stage at super featherweight, and I think I'll really do some damage.
Yeah, I'm really excited for your future, and like you say, the life change that you've had, the path you can now go on, get into the right weight, the optimal weight that's for you. Hopefully, get some fight news for you. So, Josh, I think that's about. I think we've covered everything I wanted to cover. Thanks for your time, and good luck with the rest of your future with Matchroom and the rest of your career. And thanks for coming on my channel, mate.
No problem at all, Darren. Yeah, happy to come on.
Thanks, Josh, and like I say, good luck, and we'll get in touch again in the future. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no problem. See you
Thank
later,
you,
boys.
Josh. Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.